the News 9 Global Summit.
Yes, it's our pleasure and privilege to host this edition of the News 9 Global Summit in Germany, presented by AM Green and Greenco, co-hosted by VfB Stuttgart, supported by the state of Baden-Württemberg, co-powered by Kalyani Ferrista and Tech Mahindra. This is a TV9 initiative, and how brilliant is this turning out to be?
Oh, absolutely, Meha. It's fantastic. It's a mega thought fest that's set to witness the confluence of the most influential thought leaders from India and Germany.
Yes, Germany, Europe's largest economy and a strategic partner in the region for India, is the first destination for TV9's News 9 Global Summit, a first of its kind hosted by any news media company.
That's right, Meha. And we begin this August gathering of people with the national anthem. And we begin with the host nation's national anthem, the German national anthem. I'm going to request all the German dignitaries to please come on stage and, get this underway. Requesting all German dignitaries to please come on stage so that we can begin the proceedings with the German national anthem. We're requesting all of you to please come on stage. And we have this national anthem happening across 3 locations at the MHP Arena in Stuttgart. There you go. Thank you, Deutschland, for being with us for that. And it's time with that for the Indian national anthem, requesting all Indian dignitaries assembled over here to please take the stage.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंधु गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे गावे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तब जय गाथा जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे।
Come here. Yes, it's time to kick off proceedings for the evening by blowing the opening whistle. And for that, we invite up on stage the man who envisioned this summit, the man whose brainchild this summit is, the managing director of the TV9 network, Mr. Barun Das.
Thank you, Meha. Thank you, Krishna. Namaste, Germany. Guten Abend, India. Thank you, Germany, for inviting TV9 Network, the largest news network of the largest democracy of the world, to Stuttgart, the wonderful city of precision and perfection. For me and the entire TV9 network and our co-host, VfB Stuttgart, it is a historic moment. Life is a great journey. I have often said to my family and friends that if I have to settle down to live in any other country other than India, Germany it would be. It is perhaps not without reasons. I come from the land of Nobel laureate Rabindranath Tagore, a household name in Germany. Tagore visited Germany in 1921, 26, and 1930. Martin Kampmann, a German author who has translated Tagore's work, puts the scholar in context. To quote Mr. Kampmann, wherever he spoke, the halls were packed. The newspapers reported scuffles and regular fights by people who were refused entry. The local media hailed the Indian poet as a wise man from the East and a mystic and a messiah. Now that was a century ago. As serendipity would have it, here I'm standing before you to welcome you all to the first ever news media summit of this scale at a global venue. And Stuttgart, Germany, it is. What a great feeling to be in the capital of innovation, to engineer a new media template, to foster growth and contribute to bilateral ties. Singing together the national anthems of Germany and India is a moment that I'll cherish forever. Besides the Tagore Connect, I'm also amazed at the language bond between Sanskrit, India's oldest language, and German, and Henrik Roth, the first ever German who mastered Sanskrit, traveled to India and got mesmerized with the mysteries of Indian culture. Friedrich Schlegel and August Schlegel were Indologists who deeply researched the intricacies behind the fascinating language of Sanskrit. Now, Sanskrit is being taught in all the top universities in Germany. It is such a core DNA match that binds India and Germany like no one else. I'm happy to share that we have an exemplary lineup of thought leaders discussing the roadmap for a new axis between Germany and India at the News9 Global Summit. I'm extremely grateful to the Honorable Union Minister, Mr. Ashwini Vaishnaw, Minister of Railways, Information and Broadcasting and Technology, and Sri Jyotiraditya Scindia ji, Minister for Telecom and Development of Northeastern Region, for flying in all the way from India to be with us on this important occasion. We are also privileged that two senior policy makers from Germany, Federal Minister Mr. Cem Özdemir and Mr. President Mr. Wilfried Kretschmann, will join over the next 24 hours to share their visions with us. Of course, the biggest high point of this summit is a keynote address by Honorable Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi tomorrow evening. I'm grateful to our German partners, co-host VfB, and the support of State of Baden-Württemberg for making this happen. Ruben, my friend, has been a great partnership. Mr. Hassler, First Secretary of Baden-Württemberg, we look forward to hearing you later this evening. We are also privileged to have some of the prestigious German institutions partnering us, namely DFB Pokal and Bundesliga. Peter, thank you very much. We have an exciting evening ahead of us. starting with addresses of our Honorable Ministers, Sri Vaishnaw ji and Sri Scindia ji. And Tanke, Namaskar, let's kick off.
Good evening, friends from Germany, friends from India. My special welcome to Cabinet colleague, Senior Cabinet colleague, Shri Jyotiraditya Scindia ji, Indian Ambassador to Germany, Shri Ajit Gupte ji, senior officials from Government of Baden-Württemberg, and friends from the industry. On behalf of my country, India, I extend my warmest wishes to the people of Germany and the Government of Germany. Friends, it is indeed an honor to stand before you today as we celebrate the enduring partnership between India and Germany. Our partnership is deeply rooted in shared values, particularly our commitment to democracy and sustainable development. We share a common passion for clean growth and sustainable development. Friends, as we stand today, we are living through one of the most transformative phases of the 21st century. In the last 5 years, the world has seen 3 major events which are like once in a century. We had a major pandemic and we had 2 major geopolitical conflicts. More than that, 2024 is the year in which the world, the democratic world, is seeing elections across the globe. Close to 60 countries are holding elections. I would like to make my presentation in the context of the democratic world, the elections, the changing geopolitical scenario. Friends, we also had an election just about 6 months back. This election, if you look at the numbers, we had 968 million voters, 968 million. 750 political parties and more than 1 million polling booths. It's the largest election ever conducted in the human history. And believe you me, the pace of digitalization, the way we have digitalized the entire election, on 4th June, the election results were out in just about 5 hours. For such a massive exercise. What's important is that our ruling coalition, the National Democratic Alliance, in which the Bharatiya Janata Party, BJP, is the biggest constituent, that was re-elected for the 3rd time consecutively. And this kind of thing has happened only once in 6 decades in India. In a democracy as vibrant as Indian democracy is, getting re-elected for the 3rd term shows the confidence that the people have in the policies, in the work, in the way these policies were executed by Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, whom you are going to hear tomorrow. India voted for stability and continuity. The electoral success is basically an endorsement of the 10 years of transformative change. 10 years ago, when Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji took the responsibility for governing the country, for leading the country, India was the 10th largest economy in terms of GDP. At that time, Indian economy was frequently referred as one of the fragile 5 economies. Public confidence in institutions was low. There was an overall negative outlook in the country. Today, just in a decade, we are already the 5th largest economy in terms of GDP. And by the end of this decade, by 2030, we would be the 3rd largest economy in the world. We are today the fastest growing major economy, and very consistently, I can say with 95% confidence interval, that we are going to continue to grow in the 6 to 8% growth band over the next many years. Inflation is under control. 4 to 6% is the inflation. In our economy, 4 to 6% is the target that we have kept. What's more important is the central government's balance sheet is a very healthy balance sheet. Compared to the rich world, which spent more on consumption as a response to the pandemic, India focused on investment. So we today have a balance sheet which is a very healthy balance sheet. The central government's debt is just about 57% of the GDP. And it's a very balanced kind of growth in the debt where the GDP growth rate is higher than the growth rate of the debt. What I want to share with all of you is the thought process behind this. The success that we are seeing today is not a coincidence. This is the result of a clear, well thought out strategy, meticulously executed by the government of Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji. Let me explain the 4 pillars of this growth strategy. First pillar of this strategy is public investment in physical, social, and digital infrastructure. The second pillar is a large number of inclusive growth programs. The third pillar is big focus on manufacturing and innovation. And the fourth pillar is massive simplification in our legal and compliance structures. I will now discuss in brief all the 4 pillars one by one. I'll come to the first pillar. And I'm sure we are having a debate in Germany at this point of time, whether we should be doing public investment or we should be looking at a different strategy. We in India have a very clear strategy of doing public investment in all the 3 major infrastructure, which I say as physical, social, and digital. Over the past decade, we have significantly increased our public investment from about 36 billion euros in 2014. Today, we are now investing about 127 billion euros. In the rail sector itself, which is one of my responsibilities, last year we invested 29 billion US dollars, and this year our capex is 30 billion US dollars. And we are already 64% of the capex here in the month of November. So that's the pace, that's the scale, that's the way, that's the precision with which we are adding infrastructure to our economy. We have constructed 54,000 kilometers of national highways in the last 10 years. We have built 84 new airports, and Minister Scindia was in charge of building the airports. We have added 31,000 kilometers of new railway tracks. That's practically the size of entire German railway network. We have electrified 44,000 kilometers of railway networks in the last 10 years, which is more than Germany plus Switzerland and Belgium combined. In a sense, whether it is railway, ports, airports, highways, the entire gamut of physical infrastructure has seen a massive growth in the last 10 years. I'll come to the digital infrastructure because we live in an age where digitalization is a key part of our economy. 10 years ago, our Prime Minister gave a very clear vision that we must have a digital policy, a digital program where technology is democratized. It should not be in the hands of a few big tech. It should be accessible to everybody. It should be open. It should have open standards. It should have common standards. It should be available to startups, to academia, to common people. And that created, that thought, that vision created the Digital India program, in which today we have solution after solution where the basic tenets of democratizing technology are followed, and we have solutions at a population scale. Today, India has 1.2 billion telecom subscribers, 600 million plus smartphone users, and we have what we call DPI, Digital Public Infrastructure, in which we have created individual constructs, for example, digital identity, for example, digital document system, for example, digital payment system. Each of these systems are very powerful in themselves, but when combined together, they have a potential of solving population scale problems in a very effective way. For example, the payment system that we follow, it's called the UPI. That payment system today serves about 400 million users, processing almost 17 billion transactions a month, and annual transaction value is 2.8 trillion euros. What's important is the settlement time for funds to get transferred from one account to another is consistently less than 2 seconds. Consistently less than 2 seconds. It is today operational in 7 countries, and my good friend, Minister for Digital Economy, recently when he visited India in G20, he first-hand tried, Dr. Vesing, he first-hand tried the UPI, and he was so impressed with the system. Japan has given a patent to this system, and many countries are now adopting this. I'll come to the social infrastructure because that is as important as physical and digital. In the last 1 decade, we have opened 446 new universities. That is like opening a university 1 a week. That's very, very important because human resource forms the core of our philosophy. We have more than doubled the number of prestigious institutions, the IIT system which you have heard of, the IIMs and the top medical colleges, from 68 to 149, which is more than double the number. We have doubled the number of seats in practically every sector, whether it is medical colleges, whether it is the ITIs, whether it is the diploma colleges. At every level, we have more than doubled the number of seats. Friends, this was the first pillar of our growth strategy. It's a very well thought through, very well executed. The second pillar of Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji's growth strategy is inclusive growth. We are a country with a lot of diversity. We are a country where income will be done. Friends, that's the third pillar, and the fourth and last pillar of this entire growth strategy is simplification of laws. We inherited a colonial era government framework when we got independent from the British rule in 1947. For first 50-60 years, a large part of the colonial system was carried on just like that. Our Prime Minister took up a mission called Minimum Government, Maximum Governance, and Freedom from the Colonial Mindset. So these two programs helped us remove more than 1,500 laws, archaic laws, from the statute book. I mean, cleaning up of this massive size was a very difficult task, but the parliament supported and we carried through this entire system. We also removed about 40,000 unnecessary compliances. There is a whole series of new legislations, whether it is in the telecom sector, digital sector, whether it is in shipping sector, whether it is in pharmaceuticals, in industrial sectors. Everywhere the colonial laws are being replaced with brand new laws which are in tune with the times today. Friends, these are the 4 pillars on the basis of which our growth story is there today. And that's why, because this is a very well thought through, very well executed strategy, we can say with a very high level of confidence that India will continue to grow in the range, in the band of 6 to 8% real for the coming at least 4-5 years minimum, and certainly beyond that, because of the very strong foundation that is being built. Our Prime Minister has always emphasized that while we continue to grow, we must make sure that our environment footprint is very well maintained. Today, even though we are just about $3,000 per capita GDP, we are a country which have taken so much effort on increasing the clean energy power generation capacity that you would be surprised. And in fact, in last year in Davos, I asked this question to an audience, how much would be the green power generation capacity in India? The answer which came was about 7% max. But friends, that number is 45%. 45% of our 200 gigawatt power generation capacity today comes from green energy. And that commitment is very strong. We are one of those few countries which have completed the COP commitments well before time. And Indian Railways, which carries 2.5 crore, that is 25 million people, correct? No? 25 million people every day, and actually 7 billion people every year. We are going to be net zero by 2030, well before that. So those kind of commitments are the commitments with which we are working. I'll close by saying that the success of our government reflects the fact that good economics can also be good politics. When the policies, the economic execution that is in tune with the way people think, and it makes a difference in people's lives at all the strata and all sectors, then the politics works for us, economics works for us. To my friends in Germany, I would say that we have all witnessed a shift in the global supply chains. We have seen the impact of pandemic. Practically every industry has seen it. We in India offer you trust, talent, and stability. We are a country which believes in democracy. We are a country which respects IP rights. We are a country which is open-minded, which is always believing in multilateralism and believes in rule-based international order. We welcome you all. Please come over, see for yourself what kind of transformation is happening there. Come invest in India. We offer a vast pool of talent and the world-renowned capabilities in IT and design. This is once in a decade opportunity for you. This is an opportunity which will help you grow. This is a win-win for all of us. Take advantage of our unique demographic and democratic strengths. Friends, thank you very much for inviting me here today, and special congratulations to TV9 for organizing the Global Summit in Germany, in Stuttgart here. After championing local media, now you are truly becoming global. Congratulations to you. To all my German friends, I extend a heartfelt invitation to visit India and witness the transformation, experience our curry, and experience the... I understood that something has become very popular here in Germany. Kya hai? Mango lassi. People told me that people are like, everyone is asking for mango lassi here. That's good. So this 5,000-year-old civilization welcomes you. Thank you very much. Vielen Dank. Thank you very much.
It's a time now to invite Mr. Florian Hassler, the State Secretary for Political Coordination in Europe in the state of Baden-Württemberg, who will deliver the state welcome address. Mr. Hassler, we can't wait to hear your thoughts. All yours.
From Stuttgart, Excellencies, Honorable Minister Vaishnaw, Honorable Minister Scindia, Ambassador Gupte, Consul General Sina, dear Mr. Barun Das and Mr. Ruben Kasper, thank you so much for bringing this flagship event to Stuttgart. A very warm welcome in these cold days to all corporate and business leaders from India and Germany. Dear members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, what a great pleasure to attend the first ever News 9 Global Summit held outside of India. We feel honored that you have chosen the state of Baden-Württemberg as the venue for this event. And as one of Germany's economic strongholds, we are very pleased to host you today. Warm welcome to Baden-Württemberg, a warm welcome to Stuttgart. The MHP Arena here in Stuttgart, home to our famous football club VfB Stuttgart, is the perfect location for this summit. As the State Secretary for Political Coordination, European and International Affairs, I of course follow the international activities of VfB Stuttgart pretty closely. As you can imagine, as a die-hard VfB Stuttgart fan, not only the business activities, but also the international activities on the football pitch. We are so happy that Champions League football is back in Stuttgart again. This is a great occasion for this club and for our state. And legendary football world champion Bobby Charlton stated, "The best football teams are built on trust and on a shared vision." Indeed, trust and a shared vision are essential for a winning team in football, as in business, as in politics. And India and Germany make a winning team. We are friends. We share long-standing and strong strategic and economic partnership. The German-Indian government consultations in Delhi some weeks ago boost this partnership. Our shared ties are further reflected in the growing number of Indians living in Germany. 4 times more Indians live in Germany than only 1 decade ago. But why, ladies and gentlemen, is Baden-Württemberg and VfB Stuttgart such a perfect location for this summit? And there's one reason, not the only reason, but one reason is football is in our hearts. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, football was founded in the UK. But we in Baden-Württemberg did what we do best. We tinkered and improved it on a daily basis. There is no other region in the world where so many groundbreaking innovations were made in the past. Think of cars, think of bikes, think of dolls or teddy bears, and many more things that have improved all our lives. And in Baden-Württemberg, we also have been very creative in football-related issues. Or, ladies and gentlemen, can you imagine the game we all love without the gloves of a goalie, without red cards, or without a penalty shootout? All these ideas come from people living in this state. Ladies and gentlemen, Baden-Württemberg is an economic powerhouse, and so is India. For many decades, our companies have been active in India. Some like Bosch for a century. Baden-Württemberg has a long-standing and deep relationship with India. In recent years, more and more Indian companies and highly skilled Indian professionals have chosen to establish themselves here in the land of opportunities, enriching our communities, enriching economies alike. Since 2015, Baden-Württemberg has maintained a state partnership with Maharashtra. We have set up a service desk for skilled migration at our state's cooperation office in Pune. Last year, the trade volume between India and Baden-Württemberg exceeded 4 billion euros. Of the nearly 500 partnerships between German and Indian universities and institutions, over 90 are based here in Baden-Württemberg. Ladies and gentlemen, we are meeting today around the topic of India, Germany, a roadmap for sustainable growth. And despite geopolitical and national challenges, both in politics and economies, our main achievement should be to create a world for the future generations. And I'm delighted to see such a distinguished audience from both India and Germany. And I look forward to all exciting speakers and issues today. May this summit be a great success. Thank you very much.
We invite Mr. Ramu Jupally, Vice Chairman, My Home Group, to take the stage. Please.
India, where dreams ignite innovation. shaping industries with courage and creativity. A new era of entrepreneurship unfolds. Ramu Jupally, a leader shaping India's entrepreneurial future, inspiring the next generation of innovators. Join him as he shares the roadmap to India's entrepreneurial revolution. The Coach Speak.
Is IT, Electronics and INB, Sri Ashwini Vaishnaw ji, and Honorable Minister for Communications and Development of Northeast Region, Government of India, Sri Scindia ji. Thanks a lot for taking time and coming all the way to Stuttgart to attend this News 9 Summit. Despite your hectic schedules, it means a lot to us, sir. Thank you. And also Mr. Florian Hassler, Barun, and my dear friends, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. It's my pleasure to be with you all this evening and talk about the subject that I'm passionate about, entrepreneurship. A while ago, both the ministers talked about the energy that is surging through the new India. As someone who comes from a business family, I can tell you that India of today is nothing like the India of my father's generation. When my father, Dr. Ramu Jupally, started his career, he dabbled in medicine to begin with. It was an obvious thing to do for a homeopathic doctor, but his heart lay in entrepreneurship. He wanted to create businesses, create employment, and create wealth for himself and also his investors. So he decided to switch his careers and become an entrepreneur with almost no financial support and also advice from his family. He comes from a family of farmers. It was a chance investment in a small plot of land that gave him a start in the real estate industry and then grew into the cement industry. Today, the company that my father started, Mayam Constructions, has developed more than 50 million square feet of construction, and currently we are doing almost 40 million square feet of developments and more 40 million in the active planning stage. And in the cement industry, we produce more than 12 million tons of cement annually, and now we are expanding to reach 20 million tons of annual capacity in the near future. The point is my father struggled really hard to create successful businesses because India's regulatory and macroeconomic environment were not conducive for entrepreneurship. Today, for young entrepreneurs like me, it's a different story. India of today is bustling with entrepreneurial energy. Sri Ashwini Vaishnaw ji, Honorable Minister, has already mentioned about the unicorn startups, where India has more than 100 unicorn startups. That is startups that is valued more than $1 billion. There is money pouring in India from all corners of the world in recognition of the fact that the young country with thousands of young and brilliant youngsters, and of course, a population of 1.4 billion people. So what will the next generation entrepreneurs look like? For a young entrepreneur like me, I think there are both challenges and opportunities. The challenges is the expectations I have to myself that I have to do better what my father did, and also that the India also provides unlimited opportunities, but one has to carefully choose which ones to pursue. But to my mind, a few things that are going to be extremely important. As an entrepreneur, building future businesses, I would like to keep these 4 things in mind. The first one is the scale. I believe that the problems we seek to solve must be relevant to as many as people in the world as possible. Therefore, I would like to think beyond the boundaries of my own country. 2 is the technology. Technology will be the central to everything we do. It could be AI or even AGI, artificial general intelligence. I would like my businesses to have a strong digital base, even the traditional industries like the cement and steel. 3 is the sustainability. Sri Scindia ji already talked about that. Global warming is not a future threat. It's today's existential crisis. We have to address this with urgency it deserves. Therefore, I believe that the DNA of my businesses must be green. And the last one, 4th, is the responsible capitalism. This is something that I've learned from my father. Without compassion, one cannot build businesses that last. I see an increasing concentration of wealth among a small number of people. the top 1% are estimated to 143% of the wealth globally. As with nature, economic excesses can lead to severe imbalances, not to mention social unrest. Therefore, my idea of next generation entrepreneurships rests on these 4 pillars. I look forward to having conversations to all of you later this evening. Thank you one and all.
Another senior minister from India, Shri Jyotiraditya Scindia. But before we call you, sir, let's take a look at this.
In Stuttgart, where innovation meets legacy, a global confluence unfolds. The News 9 Global Summit, where ideas shape tomorrow. At its heart, a transformative leader, a voice for sustainable growth, bridging innovation with impact, progress with purpose, charting a roadmap for India and Germany.
Join him as he maps the agenda for sustainable progress.
News 9 Global Summit.
Seated in this historic venue, my colleague in cabinet and good friend, Minister of INB, Railways, Meti, Ashwini Vaishnaw ji, the MD and CEO of the raison d'etre of our presence here tonight, Mr. Barun Das, seated in the audience with me, the Chief Marketing and Sales Officer of VFB Stuttgart, Mr. Rowan Kasper, State Secretary for Political Coordination of Baden-Württemberg, Mr. Florian Hassler, our Indian Ambassador, Mr. Ajit Gupte, our Consul General, Shatrughan Sinha ji, an old family friend and in a league of his own, someone who has taken India to shores across the 7 seas, Chairman and Managing Director of Kalyani Forge, Baba Kalyani ji, members from the Indian diaspora, my friends in Germany, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this wonderful event that has been hosted by Mr. Barun Das and TV9. I was ruminating while coming here that it's probably the first time in the history of not only Indian media, but probably media worldwide, and I stand to be corrected, that an event of this magnitude scale is being held and at a historical MHP arena, the Temple of Soccer in Stuttgart. And what does this tell you? This conveys many stories. The first being a sports person myself, and as Mr. Kasper said in his address, sports is not only a physical activity. Sports involves camaraderie. Sports builds a team. Sports builds partnerships. And sports promotes relationships between people. And therefore, it's only apt that when a confident India a nation rooted in 5,000 years of civilizational history, now arriving on the global stage, takes a foot forward, it's only natural that it will be a striker's foot, but it will be a team effort. And therefore, I must congratulate Varun Dasji. He has, in his own way, with TV9, started an epoch-making trend. I have seen this stadium many a time on television screens. But it's due to him that today the confluence between sports, between people, between cultures, and between civilizations is taking place on this stage in Stuttgart. So let me start by saying Guten Abend, Namaskar. My address today is going to talk about our countries, our histories, our civilizations. My colleague and good friend has talked about India's story. But we are gathered here today under this umbrella as two distinguished countries standing side by side on the global firmament. One, in the heart of Europe, that is an economic powerhouse. And the other, on the southern side of the globe, that today has risen as a beacon of hope, a beacon of reliability, a beacon of trust, and a beacon for the world to look upon in the form of Bharat Mata, my India. One that, as Mr. Hassler talked about, not only your state, sir, but Germany, that has been the cradle of innovation, and the other, the validator of all of those inventions in the form of India. One that is well established as a formidable player, and the other that today has arisen as an emerging player in the new international world order. And therefore, together, Germany and India present that impeccable force of global good. And therefore, I stand before you on this podium, paying tribute to the capabilities, the potential of both Deutschland and Bharat Mata. And isn't it a fascinating truth that two countries that are so far apart, thousands of kilometers, will still share such important complementary strengths? Unique strengths that are brought onto the global stage by both countries. Germany as a paragon of engineering excellence. And we see that all around us in Stuttgart. Whether it is Bosch or Porsche or Mercedes. Engineering excellence and sustainability. And the two in this era of mankind must go hand in hand. India too follows that principle, as my colleague Ashwini ji has pointed out in his address. So on the one hand, a paragon of excellence, a paragon of engineering, a paragon of sustainability, and the other in the form of India, representing youthful prowess. 70% of India's population under the age of 35. We are talking about 1 billion people, more than the full population of Europe and the United States of America combined. Our software capability, and the fact that on a technological landscape, we are ascending and changing, metamorphizing every single minute and second of our existence. These complementary strengths, I really believe, nurture a relationship that has been steeped to look at global challenges and present a shared future to the world. And therefore, in the global jigsaw, Germany and India blend seamlessly together. Now, these characteristics, ladies and gentlemen, these attributes and these capabilities are rooted in a sense of mutual understanding and partnership. German philosopher Johann Gottfried Herder once remarked, and I quote, "Mankind's origins can be traced to India, where the human mind got the first shapes of wisdom and virtue," unquote. And this sentiment echoes the history of both our nations' exchanges with each other. Barun Das ji in his address was just talking about Rabindranath Tagore ji. Rabindranath Tagore visited Germany multiple times. And he invited thinkers, philosophers, thought leaders from Germany to Shantiniketan, to create that fountainhead, to create that confluence, to create that bridging of minds and hearts, to create that fountainhead of knowledge and diversity. And therefore, the feelings and the sentiments that resonate not only amongst our political class, not only amongst our business class, but India and Germany's relationship is based on an exchange of ideas, based on an exchange of literature, based on an exchange of philosophy, based on an exchange of invention, which far exceed traditional diplomatic processes. And if you ask me a question, the root of all this lies in the capability of our people. Our people are the true ambassadors of this relationship. The Indian diaspora, the biggest in the world at over 25 million, stands as a vibrant testament to India's global spirit. Limited to only a few hundreds in the 1920s in Germany, today they are close to over 250,000 in Germany. And besides, we are backed by a vast skilled workforce ready to meet the demands of modern economies across the world. Whether it's in the automation industry, the manufacturing industry, in IT, in nursing, across the board, a multitude of opportunities where Indians are not only visible, but Indians are invaluable. Indians help in forging new paths of collaboration between people, grounded in our strengths. And India's dynamism, with its vast engineering commitment and capability, meets Germans' expertise, both in precision, in design, and in quality. And therefore, the 50,000 students that today are immersed in scholastic pursuits in Germany form a very, very key bridge to this relationship. The faith of Germany in the capacity and capability of our Indian talent stands on 4 pillars: democracy, demography, data, and demand, both powered by technology and our infrastructure. In the last decade, under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, India has transformed. India has covered ground that she was not able to cover in the 6 decades prior to the last decade. Some of the statistics that my friend Ashwini ji portrayed amongst all of you, whether it's the area of airports, the area of highways, digitization, the area of telecom. India has transformed herself over the last decade. And it is this transformation, if you take the area of telecom alone, the fact that we've gone from 250 million internet users to 970 million. In the area of broadband, from 60 million users, 15 times to 924 million. Over 1.16 billion mobile subscribers. And mind you, while we look at that exponential growth, across that inflection point, costs have dramatically fallen. 1 GB of data that would cost close to $3.4 today costs close to about 11 cents. Voice that would cost 50 paise a minute today costs only 3 paise a minute. That's the capability and the size of transformation that India has gone through. And today, that transformation is seen by German companies that are in India. Take the example of Mercedes-Benz. When Mercedes-Benz first entered the Indian market over 35 years ago, they described their strategy in terms of strategic patience. Today, Mercedes is the largest luxury car manufacturer in India. And this also speaks to the arrival of Indian consumerism, which today has become sophisticated, has become advanced, has become discerning. And therefore, I do believe that if you look at the Indian market, which opens up tremendous opportunities for German innovators, German entrepreneurs, German businessmen, German startups, not only to make in India, but as Prime Minister Modi says, make in India, but make for the world. And I see 5 pillars on which this relationship can be strengthened. The first, bilateral trade. We are today at close to $26.5 billion in terms of bilateral trade. Germany is one of the largest FDI investors in India. Over 2,000 German companies today are present in India. with an investment of greater than $15 billion. And leaders on both sides, Prime Minister Modi on one side, the German Chancellor, His Excellency Scholz, on the other, have been working assiduously to increase that exchange. The 7th IGC that was held in India was tremendously successful. And our German Chancellor, His Excellency Scholz himself, started off the German Incubator Accelerator program in India, by which Indian companies could enter the German market. The second pillar is the collaboration in the defense sector. The Indo-Pacific, no longer the Asia-Pacific, but the Indo-Pacific, security, peace and tranquility is mandatory in that area. And many Indian startups in the defense sector, many Indian companies in the defense area are today venturing forward. And that collaboration between Indian and German defense manufacturers can give a great fillip to international new innovation in the days to come. The third, going back to where I started from, is the cultural exchange between our people. And I believe that students, an exchange amongst them, is a fundamental precept of that. The India-Germany Innovation and Technology Partnership in emerging technologies, whether it's renewable, artificial intelligence, quantum computing, semiconductors, areas where India today is leading across many sectors, will lead to tremendous collaboration in the days to come. I also do believe that the innovation and incubation program for students and the exchange of that will lead to a tremendous fillip in our relationships. And here we have taken a leaf from the German repertoire, where vocational training, experiential training is very much a part of your essential curriculum. This year in the budget, the Prime Minister has heralded the Prime Minister's internship scheme in India, where 125,000 students in the first year will get to experience internships with the top firms across the length and breadth of our nation. The final pillar is our commitment to sustainability. Sustainability is a key word embedded in our systems today. And I'm glad to inform you that India has stepped ahead on that front. The Green Hydrogen Task Force that has been put together in India will ensure the fulfillment of our common goals towards decarbonization across all industrial and manufacturing processes, and will ensure that the goals of the Paris Agreement become a reality. The Indo-German Green and Sustainable Development Partnership will also ensure that that commitment bears fruition. An investment of close to 3.2 billion euros have been invested in that relationship. So as we conclude 25 years of our strategic relationship, it is imperative for me to describe the Indo-German partnership as a living bridge. A living bridge that unites the world's two most dynamic countries. A bridge that is not built on steel or stone, but built on shared beliefs, ideals, and values. Our connection is also the people, the ideas, and the values that empower each other and in turn the world. Marching forward over the next 25 years, the greater promise of both countries to fulfill milestones in their individual national journeys. India on our path to promote and to gain and to become a Viksit Bharat, and Germany celebrating the centenary of your Federal Republic. Together, our nations can write a new chapter of global progress. As we embark upon that promise and that journey, we hold close to ourselves the spirit of Vasudeva Kutumbakam. The world is one family. This vision of unity and shared responsibility is now more relevant than others. Let me thank TV9 and Barun Das ji and the government of Germany for creating this opportunity, which will stand as a testament that when two countries unite, when innovation and progress unites, it sets upon a path, a beacon for the world to follow. Dankeschön. Thank you so much.
Let me now invite Mr. Ajit Gupte, Ambassador of India, Federal Republic of Germany. Ambassador Gupte, the floor is yours, sir.
Honorable Minister of Railways, I&B and Electronics and Information Technology, Shri Ashwini Vaishnaw ji, Honorable Minister of Communication and Development of the Northeast Region, Shri Jyotiraditya Scindia ji, Managing Director and CEO of TV9, Shri Barun Das, State Secretary Florian Hassler, dear friends, Namaskar and Guten Abend. First of all, I would like to congratulate TV9 for organizing the first ever News 9 Global Summit in a country overseas, and I'm sure it will be a great success. I would like to thank two of our very senior members of the cabinet for coming all the way from India. And sir, your comments have, I think, greatly enthused myself and the others in the embassy to do their utmost to take the relationship between India and Germany and intensify it. 2024 has been a momentous year in the relationship. The External Affairs Minister visited Germany earlier in the year, and he met a wide cross-section of politicians, people from different think tanks and business leaders. Recently, the Chancellor visited India for the 7th Intergovernmental Consultations. This was the 6th time Chancellor Scholz and Prime Minister Modi had met in the last 3 years, and they share a very warm and friendly relationship. The IGC also coincided with the Asia Pacific Congress, which was being held in India after 12 years. And this brought together CEOs of German companies from the Asia Pacific region to congregate in Delhi. The central message from the APK is that German companies are looking at India with renewed vigor, renewed enthusiasm, and are planning to step up their investments. It was very apparent that India is not just the flavor of the month, but that India is the flavor of the year. As Minister Scindia pointed out, bilateral trade between India and Germany has reached a new high. The German statistics show that the trade crossed $33 billion. I was just mentioning that some of the trade comes to Netherlands, but the final destination is Germany. So there is a slight difference in the figures. German companies have invested $20 billion in India according to their own statistics, but a good amount of the earnings is being reinvested in India. I happened to be in India and had the opportunity to interact with a few German companies, and I was truly surprised by the scale of their planned expansion. Most German companies I spoke to said that their target is for their turnover to expand 4 times by 2030. So you have German companies, many hidden champions with turnovers of 2 billion, 3 billion euros in India, and they said by 2030 they plan that it will cross 4 times. So it is truly an exciting time for India-Germany relationship, and one of the new dimensions to this is the renewed interest in security and defense. Last year and this year have seen fresh vigor. Our Chief of Air Staff visited Germany last year. The German Air Chief visited India this year. Germany took part in Tarang Shakti. This was the first time that the German Air Force and the Indian Air Force did exercises. And in fact, the Chief of Air Staff of the German Air Force flew with our Air Chief in the LCA Tejas. I also had the opportunity to accompany Chancellor and the high-level delegation to Goa at the end of the IGC, and the Chancellor and the delegation visited 2 German naval ships which had just concluded the first ever naval exercises between India and Germany. Senior officials from the German delegation were shown our aircraft carrier INS Vikrant, and I can assure you that they came back truly impressed. Friends, a lot has been said, I would not like to repeat, but the Green and Sustainable Development Partnership provides a very strong template for continuing our cooperation in renewable energy, sustainable development, urban management, etc. The Indian diaspora is growing by leaps and bounds. It was less than 100,000 in 2016 and has crossed 275,000. The Indian students have doubled in the last 5 years. There are more than 50,000, but 80% of them are doing master's degree, and most of them are doing STEM courses. A few takeaways on the cultural side, based on my earlier experience. This is the second time I'm in Germany, but a lot has changed. Have you heard of Yogi tea? Yogi tea is a symbol of the cultural friendship between India and Germany. It is nothing but masala chai. But when Germans go to Indian restaurants, one of the first things they order is yogi tea. I remember from my last tenure when it was Halloween, and a lot of German children used to come and we used to give them sweets. There were a couple of occasions when we ran out of sweets. And do you know what the German children said? Never mind if you don't have chocolates, can we have butter chicken instead? So I told my wife that next year when we have Halloween, we must cook a lot of butter chicken. But I think nothing exemplifies that India has arrived than the fact that at Potsdamer Platz, today you have about 4 or 5 Indian restaurants, and in the famous Adlon Hotel, which was at one time known for its China Club, there is the India Club now, and it's a fine dining experience. And the India Club, I think, gets many more visitors than the China Club. Let me thank everybody, including a large number of visitors from India who have come to cold Germany. But I think the warmth in the relationship is adequate to drive away the cold, and I think it will sustain us in the winter months ahead. Let me finally thank very deeply the government of Baden-Württemberg, the Minister President Winfried Kretschmann, for their sustained support in organizing this memorable event. Thank you very much.
Anyway, I'm going to invite both the senior Indian Union ministers with us, Mr. Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw and Jyotiraditya, to the stage, and Minister from Germany, Mr. Florian Hassler, and Mr. Ramu Jupally, requesting all of them to come on stage. It's time now to felicitate our sponsors for the News 9 Global Summit, requesting all the gentlemen now to stay on stage. Let me please invite Mr. Baba Kalyani, Chairman and Managing Director, Bharat Forge, to please take the stage. Let me also invite Mr. B.C. Tripathi, Vice Chairman, AM Green, to please take the stage. Huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Without them, the summit wouldn't have been possible. Our big sponsors. Let me also invite Mr. Harshal Asnani, President Europe of Tech Mahindra, to also take the stage. This summit has been co-powered by Tech Mahindra as well. Requesting for the shawls to be presented as part of this felicitation.
Next one, sir.